Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're opening some old wounds by showcasing the hardest pieces of heart to earn in Zelda games. But before we dive in, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Snowboard Race: The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. After you beat the Snow Peak Ruins dungeon, you can head back to the area for some friendly competition with Yeto and Yetta. Except, things don't stay friendly for long, at least on our part. While racing Yeto to the bottom of the mountain isn't hard, round 2 against Yetta definitely is. She's much faster than Yeto, requiring you to stay at full speed at all times and make absolutely zero mistakes. You can slow her down by hitting her with the sword, but that doesn't help much, especially since she has the course memorized to the point of avoiding everything that could slow her down and taking a massive shortcut. Too many times did she win by a landslide, pass us at the end, or just cause us to fall by rushing to beat her. To get this piece of heart, you'll soon forget how adorable she is and be driven into a blind rage. The Savage Labyrinth: The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. The Savage Labyrinth consists of 50 floors, with increasingly harder groups of enemies, with recovery floors after each set of 10. Even with recovery spots, if you don't come prepared with potions or fairies, you'll probably be in trouble. You have to make it through 30 floors for the story since it holds a Triforce chart. But the last 20 are where things really heat up, since they're completely optional. The developers knew just which enemies to pair together and how many of them to be the most annoying. The final floor is just cruel. You've got 4 dark nuts, as well as a group of those moblin statues that fire unstoppable beams at you, because that's super fun to avoid while a bunch of knights try to cave your skull in. Though the rewards are changed in the HD version, making it through in the original gets you a hard-won piece of heart. Helping the Mayor: The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. Huh? Getting this piece of heart from the mayor of Clocktown is simple. Just talk to him wearing the couple's mask. But getting the couple's mask, that's a whole other story. Those who have played Majora's Mask usually speak very highly of Anju and Kafei's side quest, because it's one of the most well-written and emotionally fulfilling in the series. Still, it's also incredibly difficult thanks to the complex nature of the game's NPC schedules that change depending on your actions. And it's really easy to screw up and have to start all over. Newer players might begin the quest without realizing you can't complete it until much later. There are just so many moving parts to keep track of, with things happening at specific times you can easily forget about. A fantastic piece of storytelling for the time of release, but still quite hard to reach the end of. Bumping into Maple: The Legend of Zelda: Oracle of Ages and Seasons. On On certain screens in the Oracle games, Link can literally run into the young witch Maple. This causes them both to drop a bunch of items, which you must try to collect quickly, most of which are common things like rupees and bombs. However, she also has a chance to drop rarer things, including a piece of heart. Getting this one requires a lot of patience and dedication. The more complex her flight pattern before she runs into Link, the higher the chance of dropping a rare item is. But there's still no guarantee that it will be the piece of heart. Also, she'll always be faster than Link, and will always go for the piece of heart first. So, if you miss it, you'll have to visit one of these areas again. It only takes a few losses, or just attempts where the piece of heart doesn't appear, before most of us say screw this and move on. Cuckoo Wrangling, The Legend of Zelda, the Minish Cap. In the Minish Cap's Hyrule town, Anju will ask Link to wrangle her pet Cuckoos. Unlike other iterations of gathering these missing birds in the series, this is made into a minigame. You have to complete 10 rounds, each of which has a different time limit and requires you to catch a different number of Cuckoos, whose locations naturally change. Things start off easy enough, but eventually hit a difficulty spike. Gold Cuckoos are particularly tricky since they'll quickly break free of Link's grasp, forcing you to toss them in the right direction before they do so and pick them back up. Certain rounds also require the Pegasus boots and the flippers in order to make the time limit. Still, there's a lot of trial and error here, remembering their locations after a loss and figuring out the best path to take. 10 rounds of this for a piece of heart is a big ask. Bombchu Bowling, The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. When it comes to difficulty in minigames, it's a matter of individual player skill. What's hard to you may be easier to others, and vice versa. Personally, I don't have the patience nor skill for Bombchu Bowling, and I know I'm not the only one. Young Link can play this in Hyrule's Market. He gets 10 Bombchus to try and hit the center of 3 targets. The first isn't so bad since the target is in the center of the wall and just requires proper angling and timing to avoid the blade trap. The second and third rounds, however, are frustrating to say the least. The second puts the target off-center, and the third one's lane is so long and full of obstacles, chances are good you'll be wasting most of your Bombchus here. Worse, the game features 5 different prizes, and you won't even know if you're playing for the piece of heart or not until after you've already paid. Octoball Derby, The Legend of Zelda, A Link Between Worlds. Soon after A Link Between Worlds was released, you could find pages and pages on forums of people complaining about Octoball Derby, and all the hate is understandable. Part of it comes from the NPCs just not explaining the rules very well, leading to confusion. Even still, it's a frustrating challenge. You get 30 pitches, and Link must earn 100 points to get the piece of heart. Normal pots are worth 1 point, gold ones are worth 5, crabs reset the pots, and crows, which only fly by after hitting 3 consecutive pots, are worth 20. You use the circle pad to change between 3 stances, and swinging early makes the ball go to the right, and swinging late makes it go to the left. Obviously, the tricky timing made this game infamous amongst players. Any miss would make you nervous, since it was a waste, and an inability to hit crows essentially meant you'd lose. Shooting Galleries, The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask. here we have the inverse of my Bombchu Bowling issue. Majora's Mask is my favorite entry in the series, and I always enjoy doing the shooting galleries. But, objectively, these tend to piss most players off, and therefore deserve to be here. Technically, we're cheating since they're 2 pieces of heart, but both minigames are equally challenging. In Clocktown, you have to shoot red Octoroks to earn points while avoiding blue ones, which take away a point. Most rounds require quick reaction time since the Octoroks only stay up briefly, but that can also cause you to make a mistake. If you don't get a perfect score of 50, you won't get the piece of heart. The second shooting gallery, located on the way to the southern swamp, at least doesn't have targets that negate points. But its targets are much further away, and some of them move, making them all harder to hit. You get 1 minute and 40 seconds to rack up points, and only a score of 2,180 or higher will get you its piece of heart. Dodoh High Dive. The Legend of Zelda, Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword has some of the more infamous pieces of heart locked behind minigames. Special shoutouts, or whatever the negative version of a shoutout is, go to Pumpkin Pool and Rickety Coaster. However, the most infuriating has to be Dodoh High Dive. It at least has the good grace to be short, but any positive will be hard to think about when you're doing this over and over and over again. Link falls from the sky towards a quickly rotating circular game board with different spaces signifying rupees. Going through a ring gives you a multiplier, while bumping into a ball resets the multiplier. In order to get the piece of heart, you have to go through every ring and land on the red and blue rupee space, of which there's obviously only one. There are so many ways this can go wrong. You might do well getting the rings before bumping into a ball, making the whole attempt worthless. More likely, you'll get all the rings but fail to land on the proper space. After all, the platform spins really quickly. The most painful is landing on the correct space without having gone through all the rings. The whole thing is enough to drive you mad. Carlov Figurines. The Legend of Zelda, the Minish Cap. While it may not be a piece of heart that causes you outright rage, it's without a doubt the most tedious and one of the hardest in the series. In Hyrule, Link can play a gacha game for figurines by giving Carlov mysterious shells, which you can earn at various places in the game. The problem with this is that there are 130 figurines, and 6 extra after beating the game. Once you start unlocking them, you have to spend more shells to increase your chances of getting a new one. Or, at least, that's how the game presents it. In actuality, the game uses a broken RNG feature which can make it impossible to earn new figurines even if your probability rate is high, until you leave to reset it. And you'll eventually just need to grind away finding more mysterious shells. Once you've unlocked the original 130 figurines, you can speak to Herb, who will be so impressed he'll let you into his music house, where you get lots of money, access to a phonograph with the game's soundtrack, and the worst piece of heart in the game. Of course, there are plenty of other pieces of heart locked behind tough challenges in the series, so if we left off one that you felt was a nightmare, head to the comments and air your grievances.